Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to speak at your conference. I would like to tell you the story about where the Czech Republic is in the journey from digitizing of individual form layouts to digital transformation of public administration itself. I would especially like to emphasize how important it is to involve in the transformation existing business people in agencies and completely new professions like architects and project managers. And also effectively connect all of these with internal IT departments and external IT suppliers. This is agenda for today. Let me introduce what my presentation will be about. I would like to recall the old truth that no successful transformation or re-engineering has ever been limited to the implementation of some IT solution only. And this is especially, Robert,
No, that's fine, Pavel. You already started and introduced yourself.
Okay.
That's great. So they're not here to listen to me. They're here to listen to you. Is it just recording? That's the only thing I want to make sure. Good, it's recording. We're good.
Yes, it is.
Without further ado, thank you ever so much for presenting. And great, go right ahead. That's super, wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the mismatch I've made. So I will continue. And in fact, I don't understand myself. I am an enterprise architect of Czech government, part of department of Czech Architecture Authority, and author of the Czech information strategy. So I will be happy to tell you about our story. So digital transformation is not about just implementing IT solutions. And this is especially valid for the transformation of public services. I dare to say that at least in Czech Republic, public administration is about 20 years behind business sectors. And some previous transformation have so far eluded us, for example, client orientation or internal shared services we missed. And if we want to transform really, we have to put all missed transformations together now. And that will require a bunch of smart and skilled people with experience which are not currently found in public administration at all. And we need to do this kind of pre-transformation, adjust the organizational structures of agencies and their organizational rules to allow these new people to do their job. But such organizational structures need to be done very smartly, and that is job for architects. Now let's take a brief look at the history of Czech government, what we have done and what we are currently working on, and also why it is currently so important for us to invest in people and their business to IT alignment. The history of e-government of Czech Republic began before year 2000 with some strategic initiatives. You can see the list, the following projects and implementations. You can be sure that we have a whole range of handy and proven central solutions and many, perhaps thousands of electronic services in operation. But until now, we have always focused on legislation and technical measures and have not been able to change the habits of officials. Let's look at the last two periods in graphic diagrams as well. The first diagram is about today. It's still showing two agencies and one client. For most cases, clients have to approach individual agencies. In the current times, fortunately, the electronic way, via digital service. But we are just preparing the way of solving the cases via communication between agencies, each to another. We have ready data boxes for messages, but we are just forcing the use of so-called data pool. In the past period, we introduced transactional self-service portal under the name Citizens Portal, which represents a gateway to service catalog and to the local transaction portals. And also key prerequisite for self-services, which is a central point for electronic identification and its international gateway, allowing access to the Czech digital services for all Europeans. We also cooperated with banks to develop a single electronic identification called Bank ID, which is a really common tool for home banking. As a result, more than 60% of entire population and vast majority of productive population already has electronic identification. And what is our near future? We have planned several directions. On one hand, we urgently need to boost capacities and competencies for complex management of content, knowledge, and information of central staff to serve clients in solving their life situations across boundaries between public administration, sectors, and agencies. This includes multi-channel contact center and also integrated with the local contact centers and coordinated with self-service solutions. And as I mentioned, we will force the interconnected data pool combined with the local client-owned data. The last topic we will be focused is a so-called mandate registry, which allows the organizations and people to use digital services by proxy. So we will intensify pressure to agencies to deliver their own services. But so what we want to do differently in the future? We want to push agencies to transform them inside out. It means we have to solve these challenges, and we really need at least three things, all related to people. Motivate existing officials to actively participate in changes and accept new responsibilities. Find and retain new experts, both for change management and customer care and IT. And set up customer-supplier relationship between all business people and IT specialists. What we are using and teaching, what are methods? You can ask why I am showing it. And I am sure that architecture methods and our, for example, reference models are very helpful in building the new roles of employees, the transformation roles, and their position in architecture structure. The first step is to accept the architecture definition. There are many interesting definitions of enterprise architecture, but we compared dozens of them and finally decided to create our own. For us, enterprise architecture is a means, not a goal, of humble and holistic exploring and understanding the enterprise as a whole in all possible consequences, and then to make informed decision. And one of such a decision could be to create a really appropriate organizational structure and to build knowledge and network of people. The same importance have to have a common language, to call spade a spade. It means to speak clearly and directly also about things, even embarrassing and unpleasant things. The other point of knowledge when describing and transforming organizations inside out is understanding what the organization consists of. We can imagine the organization as a cube of 3 dimensions located in the environment. By unrolling the surface of the cube, we can get 3 areas complemented with 1 for the environment. So we can now know what is organization doing, how is keeping its resources, and how is motivated to do things exactly this way. On the next slide, you can find much more details, but this scheme in greater detail is probably for your later study and for possible inspiration. But still you can see that organization and roles beside of products and relationship is part of behavior, and activities are here covered by reference model, which I show immediately now. So the reference model of corporate architecture of public administration is mainly the classification of activities, functions, processes, and services of public administration. It was gradually created by Architecture Authority Department, originally in the Ministry of Interior, now under the umbrella of Digital and Information Agency of Czech Republic. We combined in compilation this reference model our own experience and theoretical work at university with models of some countries like Netherlands, USA, and also classification from New Zealand. The structure is following. Processes or capabilities are ordered from the client to the operation, and cross of it is placed management processes by orange color you can associate with the motivation part of organization. All kinds of motivation have corresponding processes, and they are here. In bigger detail, you can probably see it or later study here. For example, in motivation, there is a strategy, change management, risk, quality, and security. And in serving client, you can find the front office, middle office with the expert knowledge, and also a back office. Supporting processes like maintenance of service catalog and partner relationship, corporate processes if your agency is so big, and usual operation processes. If you are interested for more details about the history and challenges of our e-government, we would be happy if you would take a look in the case study that we managed to publish at the Open Group. Right now exists also a Chinese version, But we are, however, most pleased if you look in our English version of the web pages of our architecture authority. There you can find our national digitization strategy, architecture framework, architecture plan, and a lot of other information. Now we can come to the merits of today's presentation, to what is still valid and increasingly important for us for the future development of government in the Czech Republic. In fact, everything essential has already been discovered. Long time ago, you just have to open up, listen, learn, and change. My understanding is that there is no need to look for new methods and for business to IT alignment in digital transformation. It's enough to gather courage and apply proven things from business. And also have a look around at examples from public administrations of other countries. For me personally, very important: Canada, Jim, Alexander, and Robert; New Zealand, Regine Dele and their architectures; Netherlands with reference model of municipalities, and many other countries. What is the real basic of digital transformation or transformation to digital services? This is the idea that it needs to be a real services, not just still legal obligations of citizens, but a real service with added value. Only exceptional people in the Czech public administration are now aware that they are providing a service for citizens. And if we want to provide good service, we have to first understand what a service is and learn how to provide and receive services. We learn this best from the internal processes, as Jim Alexander, Deputy CIO of the Canadian government, said back in 2006. And then we have to understand who our clients are, what their needs are, what they perceive value in, and how best to serve them. We can only learn this from selected organizations in commercial sector. This cannot be achieved in government sector. So that's the reason why we need to have on board such a special experts to help us start our client orientation. And now let's go to Mr. Alexander's recommendation on next slide in a graphical scheme. This is the original picture showing that first we need engaged employees, then the ability to ask and consume internal services, then ability to provide external services, and then probably citizens' trust and confidence. The first stage is named HR transformation, then service transformation, and I took the liberty of adding to the current hot topic, service digitization, to Jim's Alexander 70-year-old but still valid core concept of thought. It is a digitalization of service. Digital transformation is just a final stage of the service transformation, which prerequisite is HR transformation. And if, like us, we have nothing from previous transformation done, then our digital transformation is like 3-in-1. And how internal services are related to the alignment of business and IT. We can use the same principle. principle of internal services and applied it on IT, then our professional departments will be our clients, and we as IT departments will be their vendors, suppliers. In Czech Republic, this doesn't work voluntarily or only in exceptional cases. Some IT people would like to do it so, but it's quite impossible to force senior officials to accept their responsibility for their information systems and demand specific services. Therefore, we are enforcing it with minister decree named a long-term management of information systems, and we will involve two roles: substantive administrator for internal customer and technical administrator for internal supplier. Hopefully, it will establish the expected relationship. And here it is just for easy remembering and taking away once again in pictures. But alignment and cooperation between business and IT is not the only prerequisite of digital transformation. There is a lot of such preconditions. Above all, I have already talked about many new business and IT roles that our agencies don't know about or cannot fill. But it is much more, and it's mostly concerns employees and their motivation and knowledge. I will provide you the list of roles we are expecting as a necessary for transformation. And there is a lot of other critical factors which needs to be planned and done in advance before of transformation, because they are, let's say, enablement of transformation. So see how they named it exactly 19 years ago in Canada in their business transformation enablement program, and the technique for checklist of the readiness is now part of TOGAF training. A lot of TOGAF course participants don't even understand what such a thing is for. And from my perspective, at the same time, it is essential, as you can see, in the light of today's information. And there is, again, for remembering and take away the picture. I am not an author of the image. I will do not interpret it, but using this image from history, but still publicly available and valid, I want to ask you to judge for yourself. Do you have plan to enable transformational changes in your governments, or whether, like us, you only do electronic services? To be honest, we are probably somewhere at the end of foundation phase. Here you see the list I promised you a while ago. There are roles that we believe are necessary for successful transformation of agency to deliver digital services. And frankly speaking, in our agencies, we don't find almost any of them. There are strategic and change management roles. Then roles for support, client, customer orientation, personal and communication roles for new people and their involvement, roles for minor changes, quality, security, performance, or motivation processes, and of course, last but not least, IT roles. We have troubles getting right IT people into government, and we are still missing a lot of such roles. seeing at the roles, we have to ask the question of organizational structure, how to adapt organizational structure of transforming organizations to be able to meet a number of requirements and rules. In particular, they must create a space to accommodate all necessary new people, enable them to work and realize their new responsibilities. Furthermore, it should support re-engineering according to current knowledge, for example, by supporting abolition of former silos and creation departments for shared internal and external services. It's important to apply complex and systemic, let's say, architectural thinking when designing an organizational structure. In fact, the organization can be divided or has many dimensions of breakdown. Then is necessary to select the right one to allocate responsibilities of unit leaders according to your needs and strategies, maybe using the reference models and strategic informations. This slide can serve as an inspiration or as a checklist. It shows experience from practice, what the organization structure distinguish or how distinguish successful and prepared organization from unprepared ones. For example, transformation roles are near to management staff, or there are architects and projects. There is a service management and other customer-oriented roles. And internal departments already provide services and other rules which you can see later in the presentation. The basis, let me say, golden rules is related to business reference models. When designing organizational structures, for example, we need to assign clear responsibility to every capability from the model. And on the other side, every capability has to be only once assigned, either physically or virtually, but then there needs to be organization which will coordinate the development and measurement of that capability which is distributed across the organization. It was a theory, and at the end I would like to show you two examples. First is related to the Ministry of Interior. From the position of architecture authority, I wanted to design a modern organizational structure for my own ministry in past. It should have enabled a lot of things I've already talked about, such as client orientation or professionalism of internal services with clearly centralized responsibility. Unfortunately, it was only the voice of the people, and for the politicians, it was a proposal not taken into account. But for me, it's still interesting, and I am proud to show you. In analysis, many rules and reference models were discussed, which were appropriate to take into account for design such an organizational architecture. At the end, next to the golden rules from the previous slide, we selected following rules. The style of management is still functional, hierarchical. It's normal office with hierarchy. It's only necessary to structure the hierarchy by the desired logic, for example, to correspond with process decompositions. First breakdown of the organizational structure is proposed by category of clients. There are 4 categories of clients: external clients, the people, citizens, and organizations, still external from the perspective of ministry, but within the whole public administration. It means the other public agencies, administration bodies, ministry is regulating. And internal clients of a ministry's department as a corporation. It means, for example, policy, firefighters, and a lot of other, about 50 organizations and their employees, and employees of ministry's office using normal operational services. Next breakdown below this one is about the product or service categories. You can see it here. In my opinion, it's extremely logical and understandable scheme. Under the minister, who is also the head of police and the fire brigade, is his team, which should help him in every challenge in fulfilling his strategic goals and transformations. Below are 3 blocks of organizational units serving clients. The left is external services for citizens and companies. On the right side, there are public administrations, agencies, and in the middle, department for serving the organizations of corporation. And at the very bottom, ordinary operation serving all employees above. Seeing it in just slightly modified view with the position of deputy ministries, the departments were aligned in the row. And it was possible to point to the deputies who, together with police president and fire chief, make ministry's management or leadership similar like the board. And I would like also stress the staff of minister where are transformation roles. And you can see finally what good functional encapsulation also is useful for a digital and information agency, easier to separate from ministry when the functions of government coordination and shared service solutions had been already formed in a compact section. It was not the case, therefore it was quite complicated. And last example, municipality office. In 2018, as a private architect, I won a contract in my city to analyze processes and find opportunities for changes in connection with shared service concept and digitization. It sounds like enablement. One of the opportunities for the office could have been a change in the organizational structure. Unfortunately, before it could be planned and implemented, special elections came and the new city management had the other priorities. However, I will be happy to present the key ideas to you. Starting points for the municipality management system is about the mission of the municipality, city, or village. The mission, by my opinion, is to take over and maintain the territory and property of the municipality after previous generations, to use them effectively to provision of services, and to reproduce and develop them, not to consume them. My wife would say that the municipality and mayor simply has to behave responsibly as a householder and farmer. He also cannot destroy the land and property of the firm. So we have to propose the organizational structure, which will be on one side legitimate interests and election promises of the mayor and help him to fulfill the strategy, and principles to find essentials and assign responsible persons to each or everything essential. Essential things, essential activities, for example, and responsibilities could be sought through combination of individual strategic plans, best practices typically expressed in a reference model as it's shown in the next slide. 3 examples of what to consider when designing an organizational structure. First, is important that organization of the office should not only serve the office itself, but entire city. And the city consists of 3 main environments: physical environment, social environment, and entrepreneurship environment. As Professor Hrabě said, long-term sustainability as a third row of the mission must be taken also into account, and the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals will serve well here. Last but not least, it's necessary to understand the office as organization inside, everything that makes it up, especially with complete map of capabilities and processes. See my own reference models on the right. And this is the basic or baseline structure. Existing structure was completely flat. I just couldn't fit the boxes next to each another. It would be unreadable. So therefore it's mixed. I have already stated some capabilities were not considered at all. Others, such as IT, were completely minor, and major project team was scattered around the office. Therefore, fulfilling the rules which are listed here, I proposed such a structure. Major organizational units are designed to address major deficiencies and cover all key responsibilities. The colors are not random, they are coming from the reference model. And the key principles are here. We have transformation roles together with all motivation and management roles here. We have sections for each environment of city. We have also proposed new department for client service across of sections. And we have a separate enlarged department for IT. And we are at the end, the conclusion. For successful digital transformation of government, you need to align agency employees in the roles of business and IT departments as a customers and suppliers of internal service. To this, there is a need to add entirely new experts in planning and implementing change, especially architects, project managers, and digitally compliant legislative lawyers, and see them close the agency management. And we must not forget the experts in external customer service and service channels. They will supply regular officials as a businesses with the right knowledge and drive, and unit them in design of their services. But the time when we have post-COVID debts, war in Europe, energy and environmental crisis, it really takes a lot of political courage to recruit hundreds of new transformational officials and pay them well, so that in just a few years, they will contribute to dismissal of thousands of ordinary officials and radical cheapening public services through digital transformation. It's not our case right now, but nevertheless, it remains necessary and will come one day. Thank you for your attention. And I wish you a very pleasant and useful conference.
Well, thank you very much, Pavel. That was a great presentation. I'm glad to see all the work that was done in 2006 is actually paying off, not maybe in the place where we thought it would, but definitely over in the Czech Republic. I'm glad that you took inspiration from it. Just a word, enterprise architecture is often defined by the Sloan School of Management at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It's defined as the organizational logic of an organization, and you cannot transform unless you understand the logic and then you alter the logic in a systematic and structured way. I think that Pavel has certainly shown that very clearly in the two case studies that he's presented. I have, unfortunately, we're sort of at the end there, Pavel, so I would like to thank Dr. Pavel Hrabě for a wonderful presentation. It was much appreciated. This session is recorded and you will be able to see it afterwards. We'll be posting it probably within 24 hours on the website to be able to catch a look at the recording, as well as Pavel's presentation for that. So thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time. It was greatly appreciated. And next year, we're looking at having a much more of a jurisdictional overview, multi-jurisdictional overview to show how all the various governments work together. Just before I leave with this presentation, okay, we got another stream coming. In stream 1, we're going to carry on with the Rwanda case study, a digital transformation benchmark with learnings for Canada. And we've got Guy Pierce from ISACA and DEGI Incorporated. We've got Christopher Yeomans coming in, and he's a technical assistant program lead over and project director over at Global Affairs Canada. He's also with Alinea. Anyways, they've got a great presentation lined up. The second presentation is going to be Dr. Danica Marsden, who's going to be basically leading a discussion and mainly a Q&A session with respect to women in STEM, a Q&A session. And then the third stream, we're going to have Murray Cronick from the Telfer School of Management talking about digital transformation. Is not about transformation, but it's about getting results. Again, it's a very business and leadership focused concept of when you have your digital transformation, how do you know that you've arrived where you want to go for accountability? So thank you very much for your time. I'll give you a few moments there, and then you can basically click to the click on the link to the session that you want to see. Thank you very much.